I was floating through school with a 1.3 something.
I know that's right.
You know, I was just tired of it. You know, I was embarrassed all the time, full of fear. Right. I mean, society had beat me down at an early age, and I didn't even know what was happening. Mm-hmm. But this is the type of healing that we have to do. What are the psychological effects of democratic capitalism?
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
What are the psychological effects of this capitalist culture? If you don't love yourself, you can't love nothing else. You can't love God. You can't love nobody.
Even being able to recognize your own face in the mirror, mm-hmm. and have some connection with that. And that's just, for me, in my transformation, when you look at yourself, what do you see? Mm-hmm. Do you see what this image, or do you really take a look at what's going on when you look at yourself? What needs to be wiped off, plucked out, or just is it on the inside? Because I know for me that was a lot of looking in the mirror and not recognizing or not ever feeling at home wherever I was at. And so today, when I look at myself, I can actually see who I really am, because all that other stuff clouds it. I mean, you're putting on the weave, the eyelashes, the makeup, and getting ready for it. You don't have time to look at yourself.
Yeah.
You know? And so being able to just say, hold on a minute, wait a minute, what's real and what ain't? Because Wayne asked me a question. He said, this is not real, Myrtle. I'm like, it is. It is. Me going to work every day, coming home, punching in and out the clock, getting my vacation, it is. This is my life. But he said, well, okay, where are you going? So just growing food, I think, was the catalyst. Growing food and actually taking the time out to think about what are we doing by growing food.
What's become really clear to me, to hear y'all talk about how important, how this fosters that creativity. I mean, what's really become really clear to me about an understanding of capitalism overall through this conversation is that only through convincing human beings that we can't produce for ourselves does capitalism maintain itself. Because through that process, we tell ourselves that capitalism is necessary for our very survival. Because we can only eat by going to the grocery store. We can only clothe ourselves by going to the mall. We can only develop any sort of identity through buying shit. As soon as a program is implemented that facilitates within human beings an awareness, not just an awareness, but an ability to create, then the shit poses a threat to the maintenance of capitalism on a daily basis.
It's
no matter how small scale it is.
Extent.
Feedom Growers to me is a living entity. And through it, birthing happens, transformation happens. And what started as a small project has grown into a community work that's evolving with time and responding and growing with our community here. Feedom Freedom does quite a few things. Feedom Freedom grows food on the east side of Detroit on side lots. Feedom Freedom creates space for a lot of different things. Transformation I'm leaning into mostly because that's what we're seeing as we come through. I almost said come out, but I'm going to say come through this pandemic that we recently experienced. There are people who are doing things that they've never done before, doing work that they didn't know exists, like practicing the future now with the resources that we have.
Let me tell you who I was before FFG. I was a mother, a wife, a sister, a lifelong Detroiter. I had a corporate job, and when I mean corporate, I mean I worked a 9 to 5. I had a supervisor. I worked in various elements of food service. Before that, retail sales. I believed the harder you work, the further you would get in life. I believed that I was broken. It wasn't the world. It wasn't this system. Sometimes I felt like I was just damn unlucky. But yeah, I was your average hardworking American who believed I needed to take a vacation. I needed to party on the weekends, that type of thing. And if I went to the mall, I could fix what was ailing me right away. So, yeah, my life is my ideas, my heart condition. It's changed. I don't feel, I'm still a mother. I'm even now a grandmother. I feel the creative aspect of who I've always been is allowed to create. I know that I'm not broken as a human being. These systems that are in place are very broken. And finding ways to cope and manage through the day-to-day takes a lot sometimes, but I feel who I am today shows up through the work that I'm involved in through FFG or Feedom Freedom Growers. I've just been empowered as a human being because I'm able to, I get a better understanding of, I read a lot more, I'll tell you that. I read a lot more. But the day-to-day practice of being self-reliant makes a difference. Working and interacting with folks, people, my community, young people, having intergenerational relationships. I'm not the same person I was prior to the formation of FFG. I'm just not the same person. I am a more human being. I'm learning to live simply so that others can simply live. And even though that's a small statement, it encompasses a lot. A lot. Feedom Freedom Growers is not a magic pill. It's an urban space. It's a garden. We grow food. But we're growing our souls while we're there, because we're getting in touch with some patience. We're getting in touch with our interconnectedness with the soil, what comes out of the soil. You can't do this work by yourself, so you need others. So you're building these relationships. And then you're in touch with all the environmental impacts that happen. Then you got to get in touch with the city structures of what happened. So a lot, layer upon layer upon layer. It's a growth process if you allow yourself. And the reciprocal of being involved in this practice. Because I'm so interested in young people walking away with knowledge of how to take care of themselves, tend the land, and build relationships.
Carpal tunnel syndrome.
Anyone know what that is?
Nope, I don't. I'm just here to read.
I'm here to explain. I was a student at the University of Michigan. At the time, I was a sophomore, and I participated in a program called Semester in Detroit. So I had an urban farming class. And so during the first part of the class, we read one of Grace Lee Boggs' books. And then later on, we also read a book by Raj Patel called Stuffed and Starved. And then our professor pretty much told us, all right, it's time to hit the ground, actually do some work. I've been reading. It's time to see what it's really about. And so we volunteered at Feedom Freedom. And so being at FFG during that short period of time, I felt seen and I felt heard and I felt loved in that sense, despite them not really knowing me like that. I mean, Baba, we got that connection, but being there, I felt it, and I felt the potential of roots being, dug deep there. And I felt like they wanted me to be there, not like it was just some program. All right, we done, peace. Door shut, Martin, get out. It wasn't none of that. It was, all right, y'all, how can we
how can we help you all? Like, what can we do? After the program, that was it. I came back and volunteered maybe twice that summer, and I went back to Ann Arbor. And that was, like I said, in 2014. But then I told myself, every year I was like, you need to go back. You're going to go back once you graduate. Because at the time I was like, well, I'm going to do a gap year. You're going to have the time to do all this stuff. And so 2017 came, and my old phone that had her phone number was like done. And so I was like, shoot, I don't have her number, but I know where she stays. So then, I grabbed my mama. We came down here. We knocked on her door. We prayed, like, I hope she here. We knocked on the door. She opened up. We like, hey. And so we came in, and we had the conversation in her living room. And she was just like, I'm here. What you want to learn and what you want to do. And so from that point on, that's when I, started dedicating my time to FFG. And so she was willing to pull me in, introduce me to different folk who were part of FFG at that time and other people who weren't a part of FFG. And that's how we got the ball growing and rolling. It was just through, her being like, all right, come on. As she said, come on, Ladybug, and bringing me in. FFG has just opened me to this community of people who want to see other people transform and who want to see a community, bloom into something beautiful. So whether that's Kim Sharobi, Shay Howe, whether that's Aaron Bevel, T, people at the Detroit Black Farmers Land Fund I've met, whether that's people at D-Town Farms, like just meeting people from all over. And meeting people from Greensboro, North Carolina, just people who are doing the work where they are. And so they're just this piece of a larger whole. And everyone's doing the work that they should be doing, and it's still pushing us forward together. Whether we may not be linked at the arms, but we still taking our steps and moving forward and spreading and sharing.
We're bold enough to envision a future where everyone has the basics of what they need to propel all of us to a different future. All of us. Even the haters. Also, this vision for the future, the people are different. The people are different. It may look the same, but the people truly are different because we value one another. We value one another. I can see myself in you. You can see yourself in me. You care about my dignity as a whole being. We have honestly talked about the past, reparations and retributions for how America came to exist. We learned about time before America came to exist. So, we did a lot of rectifying. And we are still doing that. So.
The 291 Cultural Hub is a indoor manifestation of everything that we do at the garden. This is a place where we can reimagine culture. We can have meetings here. We have residential space here for short term. If you want to come here and do your sabbatical, we have a space for you.
What's that over there?
We have a music space. We have a Reiki space. We have meeting space. We have a kitchen.
I firmly don't believe in food as a profit. You can't profit from selling food. We do really well at our markets. We sell the tomatoes, we sell the kale, the garlic, the bell pepper, the habaneros, the scotch bonnets. We sell it. But if I was dependent on that, the amount of work that goes into producing something for money, that's all we would ever do. That's it. There's no room for anything else. For me, the market is a really great way to introduce folks to our space again. They come. I pick the kale right off the stalk for them. A lot of times, I get there. Come on, let's go cut you some tomatoes. You know. So that's how we do it. It's introduction to what we do here. But the money aspect, we for a few hours of work we might make $80. That's on the high end. We might make as low as $45. But that's not the focus, because that's a whole nother operation. And our work is way deeper than that.
When we grow food, we got the power. I mean, it's mine. I mean, mine as in ours, not mine like mine, me. But like, we ain't gotta depend on nobody else. You put the seed in the ground, you water. If you got access to water, you water it. I mean, later on, after the plant grows, and if it seeds, I can keep those seeds for myself. When people come to FFG, like different groups, they may come to the space and, you know, we give them a tour, and then we all engage, we circle up and engage in conversation. And surprisingly, people ask the question, what do you do with the food? What? Why are you asking me that question? You know, like, what do I do with the food? If you have food, what would you do with it? You would eat the food. Like, you're not making that connection, you know. So I see Feedom playing a role in developing a new food system in a way of introducing people to a new way of living, a new way of embracing our relationship with nature, a new way of seeing, yeah, you can grow food and eat it. You should eat that food you grow, not grow food and sneak off to McDonald's. But I see them contributing in that sense, as well as growing food together. So a food system that invites all people.
Being a frail human being, I'm constantly in a state of learning and unlearning. Always unlearning. Because I've learned under a system that wanted to see me defeated, browbeaten, a cog or a peg in the machine. And to throw that off just came through the revolutionary act of growing food. Being self-determined that if I'm going to eat well, I need to do this. And to put it in practice. It takes a lot. Everybody might not be able to do it. But if enough of us do, because I understood a long time ago, and I listened to, oh my goodness, who are the United Nations, when they get together and they have these big forums, some dang on good information comes out. And the media washes past it or don't catch it. And I listened. And it talked about small farms, small growing operations. I've been to Cuba, and I understand you can overturn a whole lot by growing some food and becoming self-sufficient, self-reliant, by just enough people coming together and taking over a space. And I don't mean brutally taking it over, but taking it over with intentions on taking care of themselves. That's a revolutionary act. Feeding yourself. Some guy said, what's his name? It's like printing your own money. We ain't printing no money. We're growing food. We growing food. We're gonna feed
Let's say 2072. There are these rich community pods that center health and wellness, education, safety, food, housing security, spiritual practices, entertainment. Okay. And within this hub, all of these things are walkable or bikeable, or there's a safe way to get there. Did I say safety? Safety is centered in that hub too. Okay. The militarized police. The injustice all through the, court systems and all that. Yes, we are beyond that. Water has been made common. Electricity and power has been made common. Everyone has access to education because we need well-educated healthcare professionals. We need well-educated engineers to, build houses that really relate to the earth that it's in, and not just sitting on it like just like a wart or something.